Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to Dark Days. Today we're going to be reviewing Cabin in the Woods. Second review time. I'm excited, so let's just get right into it. This film is starring Kristen Connolly, Anna Hutchison, and Chris Hemsworth. That's right, Thor himself. A god is in this movie, which is like, well, it's funny that I mentioned that because a god actually is in this movie at the very end. But anyways, we'll get into that. Spoilers! Oh, he didn't give me a spoiler warning. Wah. Get over it. This movie's almost 10 years old. Holy shit. Well, if you count when it was released. If you count when it was made, this movie is 10 years old. Officially now, I think. Because it was... Anyways. So this film, what can I say about it without actually really getting in the spoilers, to be honest? Because this movie is incredible. Like, I don't even know how to begin to describe this movie because it's so crazy. I'm going to do my best, obviously, because this is a movie review. But if you want my recommendation without any type of spoilers, please, for the love of horror, watch this movie. Holy shit, this is an amazing, amazing love letter to mainly slashers, but really the horror genre in general. The genre in general. I don't know what made my tongue do that, but anyways. Yeah, this movie's great, guys. Go watch it, go see it. Let's get into spoilers, baby. Before I get into this, the performances in this are incredible. Really, all of the college kids in this film are great, and I already listed the starring roles from IMDb. I've already listed all of them, but easily for me, the two men in this movie who completely sell this for me are Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford, who are... I'm not gonna... okay, we're in spoilers, but their characters in this are fucking hilarious, and you get that immediately from the opening of this film. But in order for the opening of this film for me to explain what it is, I have to give a little quick plot synopsis. I'm not going in order of my notes. But anyways, so basically what this is a underground facility that is, I guess, the two main... It's funny because I wouldn't call them the head honchos because they're not by any means, but they're basically the ones in charge of the operation itself. Richard Jenkins' character and Bradley Whitford's character. Now, what these guys are doing is they're essentially having people... This is some FBI secret agent level shit. They're basically having people follow this group of college kids around, and they send them to a remote location. And there are facilities like this all over the world. And this particular one, they have kids go to a... Right. And they basically lead them into a slasher scenario. And that's such a cool idea. And it's later revealed why they're doing this. But I love how it's hinted at throughout the movie what they're doing. The opening of this film is literally just them walking around an office, which is extremely jarring considering what the title of this movie is. But they're just kind of walking around an office, and they're just shooting the shit, and just talking, and all of a sudden you get this jump scare title card, just bam, Cabin in the Woods. And there's this high pitched scream, and you're like, holy fuck! Which, like I said, this is a horror parody. And I guess their intention with that was the overuse of jump scares, and it gets a laugh out of a nerd like me. I can't stand stupid little dumb jump scares for no reason. And the fact that they were even off the cuff just made fun of that was a selling point for me. But yeah, and they go to some pretty crazy lengths to get this done. I mean, they're they're, like I said, they're following these kids around. One of the women who they're trying to fix into the, I guess, the slutty party girl role. They're like, when she dyes her hair, they make sure the hair, like, it's crazy. Like, they rig the hair dye to make sure, like, the chemicals go into her brain and just make her more of a bimbo, I guess. And it's so interesting that they're going to these lengths to make these characters their little, like, archetypal selves that they want them to be. Because at the beginning of this film, the characters above ground who are going to this thing to basically get slaughtered are nothing like that. Just to list them off, there's the virgin, the fool, or the stoner, the jock. I'm sure you can hear my dog barking in the background. Sorry. There's nothing I can do to make her stop. But anyways, so yeah, you got the virgin, you got the fool, you got the athlete, you got the bookworm, I believe he's called, and you have the whore, which is pretty brisk terminology to talk about a woman who likes to have sex, but whatever. A whore she is, I guess, by these standards. But anyways, so yeah, they basically try to make these kids fit into their roles, and none of them really do. Like, the implication of the stoner Marty, who's my favorite of all the characters, because he's hilarious. He's supposed to be stupid, and he's actually very intelligent. Like, and it's kind of nice that they kind of, you know, it's kind of nice that all these people don't really fit their stereotypes. It's just cool to see, you know. And then it kind of makes you hate the people who are controlling them, because they do end up kind of forming more to their stereotypes, except for Marty, and I'll get to that in a minute because it's pretty hilarious. But yeah, so they lead them to this cabin, and then they use this thing that I can only refer to as dumbass dust, because that's literally what it is. Especially in the case of Chris Hemsworth's character is supposed to be the athlete, and you know the stereotype with that is, oh, he's stupid, he's just a jock, he just cares about drinking and fucking and sports, and that's it. When really, in reality, he's actually a pretty smart guy, and by the end of his run in this movie, he's not. He's dumb. He's making stupid decisions. There's a scene where, you know, shit's kind of starting to hit the fan, and he goes, all right, you know, we need to stick together. We can't get separated. We gotta all, you know, be together on this. And then one of the people in the control room just hits this button, and, you know, and he's like, actually, I think we should split up. And Marty, who's the stoner, is like, what? Like, what the fuck, man? It's so funny. And there's other little examples. I could go on all day about it. But yeah, so they end up going down into this basement. I'm kind of going out of order here. And there's all these cool little trinkets, and they end up... they're basically all the things that can unlock whatever evil is gonna plague them throughout this movie. So you have like a book that if they read certain passages out of it, which is what ends up happening. You also have like a puzzle box, which is basically supposed to be a ripoff of another film. It's gonna be the next film that I review. I'll leave that up to your imagination. But yeah, so you have that. You have just all these different little cool things, and it's really cool to just see all these little homages to other horror films. Like, I always like pausing and kind of looking and like, oh, look at that, because I'm a geek. I didn't really do that this watch around, because I just wanted to take notes and, you know, watch it for what it is, because God, this movie's awesome. And I've seen this I think I've seen this movie like 6 times or something. But anyways, so yeah. But they end up releasing the Buckners. Now, the Buckners look cool as shit. These guys look so cool. They're the zombie redneck torture family, as it is referred to by Richard Jenkins. Because they have like a betting pool of like what's gonna happen, and the first thing is, oh, what monster are they gonna release? And this woman goes, well, what the hell, man? I picked zombies. And he goes, yeah, you picked zombies, and they unleashed zombie redneck torture family. completely different species. It's like it's just funny, man. It's so my humor. I love them in this movie. It's great. But yeah, so that was really funny to see. Sorry, my dog is extremely distracting. She's a cute one though. I'm sure I'll show you all her someday if you haven't already seen her from my social media and all that. But anyways, I'm getting off track. God, that dog is distracting. But anyways, so yeah, they unleash the Buckners, and it's a pretty standard slasher throughout, except, they're all getting killed, and Marty is presumably killed off, the stoner, or the fool, or whatever you want to call him. But he ends up not getting killed. He ends up coming back. At this point, everyone's dead besides the Virgin, Kristen Connolly's character, who I cannot remember her name now. So I'm just going to call her Kristen Connolly's character. Sorry, get over it. But anyways, so he helps her out, and he kind of comes back. She's like, "Oh my God, Marty, how are you still alive?" And he goes, "I don't know. Come on, we gotta go." And so they end up running into this grave. He saves her from Papa Buck, who has completely slaughtered everybody. Some good kills in this movie. He hacksaws this girl's head off. He stabs a dude through the neck, and just all this super brutal shit. And so yeah, good slasher Papa Buck is. Good. But anyways, moving on. God, I love this movie. So they end up running into this grave. She's like, "Are we seriously going into this grave?" He's like, "Just come on, trust me." And they end up going into this, they end up making their way into the actual facility through this thing. It ends up being the thing that transported the Buckners from underground. They basically lifted them up through it, and I guess they just kept it there. So they get into this elevator and basically break in to this facility, and it starts what is, in my opinion, the craziest third act in any horror movie. That's a lot to live up to, but holy shit. God, it is just, it's nuts. What do you want me to say? So they end up seeing, and it's my favorite shot of the film, they end up seeing all of these other monsters that could have been released and been made to torture them. There's like I said, a bootleg Cenobite. I didn't say that, but yeah, he has the orb puzzle box thing, which I guess I just kind of gave away what my next review is going to be. Hellraiser. So get excited for that, because I certainly am. I haven't seen it in years. But anyways, so they see all these different characters and just these different terrifying looking creatures, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. Just all these different cool looking characters. There's even like a zombie that was lifted straight from Left 4 Dead. There's a Shining reference in there. Just all this different shit. Like a killer clown and just all this stuff. It's really cool to see. So yeah, they end up, running around in there. The people in the facility are trying to catch them, and they can't. And basically the big reason for them being unable to catch them is because they release all of the monsters. Like every single one. And it gets very gruesome, very gory, and very violent. And holy shit, it's... Mwah. I love it. I love it so much. But, yeah, I need help. Leave me alone. But anyways, so they end up running around through there, and they get to basically the room that's been hinted at throughout the entire movie. Every time a character gets killed, someone pulls a lever, which soaks in blood. It's basically artwork that gets soaked in blood, and there's 5 of them. And they all represent one of the archetypes. So when the slutty blonde dies, they drip blood down her artwork, and so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying? And yeah, so they they get down in there, and they get down in there, and then we we meet the director of all of these operations, which is Sigourney Weaver. Oh, love of my life. I love Sigourney Weaver. I'm kidding, obviously. It's not that deep, but I absolutely adore her. She is incredible. Ripley herself. Great shit. Good to see her in this movie. And she basically explains to them that the whole reason they do this, and why they do this all around the world, is because there is a godlike being that is not Thor, but there is a godlike being that basically this is how they perform sacrifices to this godlike creature. And if they don't, then he's just going to destroy the whole world. So, Marty, you gotta die, dude. And they end up having a little scuffle. Even at one point, Kristen Connolly's character kind of like points a gun at him and is about to shoot him, and he goes, "Are you serious?" And she goes, "The whole world's gonna die if you don't, dude. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do?" But then a wolf man ends up coming and like mauling her. She doesn't die, but he ends up fucking her up pretty bad. And yeah, this movie's nuts. That a wolf man just comes out of nowhere. But yeah, that's what happens when you release monsters, Kristen Connolly. But anyways, so she gets out of that, and then I guess Marty pretty much rescues her. Why can't I not remember what happens? Anyways, so Sigourney's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this myself. Tries to kill him. Then, the little girl, Buckner, the one with no arm, basically comes down there. And, like, she's shown to have made her way into the facility throughout the movie. And yeah, so she axes Sigourney in the head. Marty kicks both of them down, and the last shot of this movie is Marty and I can't remember her name. It's bothering me. Anyways, it ends with the two of them just sitting there. He obviously has a J. So he lights that up, and they're just smoking a J, waiting for the world to end. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry I almost killed you, and thank you for rescuing me." And he goes, "Yeah, don't mention it. I'm sorry the world's gonna end because of my being alive." And she's like, "Yeah, well, not much longer." And you would think that, something happens, they end up saving the day. Nope. World ends. That's how this movie ends. Is the literal end of the world. Holy shit, this movie is great. Just so much fun. Obviously, I would recommend this film. I'm not going to act like this is a perfect work of art masterpiece, but in the realm of horror, this movie's awesome. This movie's incredible. I always end off my horror reviews with the kill of the movie. And there's a lot of good ones. Like I previously mentioned, dude getting stabbed through their neck, girls getting their head cut off. Typical slasher stuff, but it's always hinted throughout the movie. Bradley Whitford's character really wants to see a merman. Like, he's never seen one, and he's always wanted to see one. I don't know why he can't just, like, see one of them in the elevators, but I guess they're not allowed to, or whatever the hell. Basically, he hasn't ever seen one, and he really wants to see one. He really wants to see one. He was hoping that this one, he was really banking on a merman coming to fruition, but it doesn't, and he's bummed. And so when all this chaos is happening in the third act, I can't remember what happens to him, but he ends up becoming incapacitated, and he's on the ground, and there's smoke all around, and he looks he looks over, and sure enough, a merman just starts kind of like crawling towards him, and just fucking mauls Bradley Whitford's character to death. Just eats his face. It's incredible, and like they even have a little added effect where blood starts spewing out of his out of this creature's like fin, I guess you would call it. I don't know. My knowledge of mermen is not too I'm not too educated on mermen, but I'll just call it that. Blood starts spewing out of his fin, and it's just brutal looking. It's awesome. And it's very poetic too. It's a very satisfying end to that little arc in the movie. So yeah, guys, we're gonna cut this off here. I actually discovered that I can't really have these longer than 25 minutes, and we're on the 20-minute mark just now. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. This has been really fun. Hellraiser's next, so yeah, this is gonna be great, guys. I'm sure I'll have this up here pretty soon, and yeah, have a good day, y'all.